Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. New year, new vehicles, right? This is an experiment, okay? What I've done is I've gone online, purchased a used Rustler VXL, okay? You can tell it still says the Valenian logo right there. Plus the paint job doesn't tell you the special livery that it's a VXL. Here it is. So what have I done? Obviously changed the wheels. That's a no-brainer. But it seems to be a little short in here. So what we've done is we've taken a little over 2.5 inches off of the wheelbase here. So it is definitely shorter. Question becomes, why? Why did we do that versus leaving it long? Because doesn't there better stability and everything if it's longer? Absolutely. There's 100% is. So you see here, just to show the body has been cut. The wheel wells were back here. Cut all that out just for clearance of the shocks. Now, yes, I've doubled up the shocks. A lot of different things. I wanted a stronger back shock. Didn't have enough clips, but I did have an extra spring. So I put the spring in, tightened that up. Gave me basically what I'm looking for, which is a very stiff suspension. But I wanted it up as high as possible. So high, stiff. That's the whole thing. So what I have done, you can see here, is I've made an aluminum frame. Used some 1-inch risers with a couple of shims or washers to raise it up to the level so it's all nice and level all the way across. Because it's a little bit more than 1 inch from from down here to up here, that front piece, to make it all level and everything else. It's a little bit more, so it would be like 1 1/8 inch. So did that, took the system, drilled holes, obviously mounted everything, and then cut a servo hole. You can see the servo hole right here. There will be a couple more screws to mount the servo in there, of course. But here's the servo that comes with it. This is the Traxxas stuff, so I'm just using the Traxxas receiver, Traxxas ESC, Traxxas Valenian motor. Everything here is the Traxxas, except for the extra spring. Of course, this I added. This is just a little fun, nothing else. There's really no other reason other than just having fun with it. Get that in a little bit more. I know I'm doing stuff on camera I shouldn't be. Just relax, let it happen. Anyways, yeah, so the antenna is just for fun. Nothing else. But here's the regular servo. It mounts this way from underneath. The problem we have is when with the shell we want to use, if I was making my own body, it wouldn't matter. This would stick up and out. I could use a standard servo, no problem. But because I want to run the body and I want to run this bar, I can't cut this in half. These will just sag, won't hold the body. It'll look terrible. It's not what I want. And I want the stiffness there anyways. So instead of this, we have enough room in here for this. See if this will somehow, if I blur other stuff, will this somehow read? I always have a tough time getting it to read. It just doesn't want to focus in on what we got. So anyways, this is a 12 kilogram servo. We don't need much because again we're just going straight. If you haven't figured it out by now, the paddle tires don't tell you what's going on. So we went on the old interwebs and grabbed ourselves an inexpensive low profile servo. So if you're not familiar with what a low profile servo is, it's exactly that. There's your difference. So I lose about 1/4 of an inch, 3 millimeters, I think. No, maybe more than that. 10 millimeters. But also in the top too, if you didn't notice, this is sitting much lower. I'll spin it so you can see. No, I guess it's about the same. It's about the same. Actually, it's this little rise here that it doesn't have on here. But anyways, this is great. I don't have to deal with the adapters or anything else because we're not doing a servo saver, we're not doing the push-pull, we're doing direct. So that's what I needed, something direct. This looks a little odd, fairly dark. It's just the sticker. It's just the sticker. Anyways, so yeah, we're going to install this up and in. We've also ordered some 95 millimeter turnbuckles. So we'll take that, and we're probably we'll take some of these ends off of these links, or sorry about the phone, or these original links. Just take that off and put it onto the new links, and that'll give us our direct. The other reason I bought the servo is a lot of the servo, especially when you buy used, people don't save parts, they just toss stuff. So I did not have any sort of servo horn. Again, I apologize, to run what I want. Now, we're either going to use this little round one, which is great. It just depends on how things will fit and how they spin. So it might be this one, or it might end up being this one. And more than likely, this is the one that it's going to end up being. Sorry about that. That's an alarm on my door. I need to turn my volumes down. Anyway, sorry about that. So yeah, I'll probably end up using the star one and just put them offset from each other. I'll probably do the middle hole. I don't want a lot of turn radius, but I want some. It's not really for steering. That's not what's going on. Basically, I saw cars at the last drags of the year doing wheelies the entire way. Thought, gee, that's amazing. It really works. As long as you can keep the tail straight behind it. So, doing a little thinking and realize that really all you need is a set of wheels and a drag bar behind. If you basically just turn this car around and ran it in reverse, that's basically what you're getting. Just no wheels, and you just manage your drag in the back, right? You want that drag because that's what's going to keep it going straight. That's why we do wheelie bars. That's why a lot of people do the C-channel, is it's blades, and those blades act like, think like a snowmobile or even a sled, right? The fact that those things are parallel, that's what keeps you going straight. So that's what you need in the back, something to keep you straight. Even if the wheels go off a little bit, that tail is going to pull it, keeping it going straight. So you get very little movement. Of course, if you launch and you go off, you're pretty much going off, because what I'm doing and why this is stiff in the back is it's going to wheelie down the entire way, and then I can, when I stop, it'll come back down. So that's the idea. So in building this and everything else, I tried on different wheels, because of course it came with different wheels. The one I bought came with these, which are great little Pro lines. Which wheel is this? The trenchers. So they're nice. They're on bead locks, which is great. These wheels are nice. I mean, it's a $20 wheel. This is metal. This is plastic. And, it's a three-piece. There's a ring in there that captures everything. Great wheels. Great wheels. The tires, they're good. And I could have put these on. Really kept the kind of a look. But I played around with the wheel styles and everything else, and I decided on this because, in my opinion, it kind of gives a gasser look. Especially once I get to do the things I want to, which is really push these as tall as I can. So I want to get some clips and really stiffen that front suspension up. I want it pinned down. Why do I want it pinned down? Well, that's easy. Think of the old gassers. They had the car up, excuse me, at an angle, front wheels way down on a straight axle, and that was it, right? Super light, super basic, and you brought the front end up, because when the cars take off, that back end sagged. This is way back in the day of gassers, okay? It's before they realized that they need a bunch of preload and that they need to stop that sag, right? Because they're losing traction in that. But the gassers, they brought it up so that it basically, the car was already at that angle. So the back just dug in. A lot of times, if you'll see old wrecks and stuff like that, you watch the back axle grab so much that the back axle actually traveled while the rest of the car didn't. It just ate itself under. So, it's got to be tight and right and supported in the right ways. So drag racing's come a long way because of that. Also, we don't do gassers anymore. We realize that's not good. So to be able to control yourself down, you want to be able to have those wheels launch a little bit, but then come back down and go, right? And that's your guiding down, because you can't count on just a single wheel on streets and prep surfaces. Sand is different. Dirt, different. With dirt, I guess you could put some small drag fins down to kind of get you, but again, that's going to wear after a while. You don't want to go deep with it because it's not going to give you any extra benefit. Sand, different. Soft, you want to dig down in there and you want to have something keeping you down. Even if it's sitting down and it's on the wheels like my others are, and that drag bar is just in, and it's basically a 5-wheeled vehicle is the way I think about it, and it drives nice and straight. That's the whole key. If you start fishtailing or going to one side and whatnot, and you have to correct, well, you're losing forward momentum. You're getting more drag. That's the other reason why, if we're dragging the wheelie bar anyways, no matter what we're doing, because we want to keep control in some way, shape, or form. So we're always going to drag the wheelie bar. What we don't need is the drag of the extra front wheels, right? Those front wheels create a ton more drag, because now we're pushing these through. They're not pulling, they're not rotating on their own. They're being pushed. And I did have a problem with these on my other rig, because on the drag dart, because of the weight. It's the weight that was doing everything. When these sat down, it created a block or a chalk in front of the wheel that it just couldn't overcome. It's not going to be the problem with this, because the wheels aren't going to be there. It's not trying to push these wheels. The idea is to have this weighted so that it just wants to lift. It doesn't want to push those wheels. It's just going to lift those wheels up and out of the way. So even if I set it down too much and it does get a chalk there, it's going to raise up above that chalk and wheelie down. We're not going high. We're not going crazy with the wheelie. That's where it would wheelie to right now, which is crazy. We just want enough of it so that these don't interfere with anything. And they roll. If they, do happen to hit something, it's not a big deal. It'll roll. But we're not looking for a ton of space. We're talking 2 inches of lift in the front. That's it. That's all we need. We don't want more because then it's going to be fighting the weight. We want it to balance right out there. That way I've got forward weight, I've got backward weight being created by the push of it, and that weight transfers to a perfect weight on the wheels. The wheels are driving, they're not overextending, they can't flip over the car. That's the whole idea. Because basically you can't just run a set of wheels and a battery and everything without front wheels. And even if I waited, and I had it to that it was resting on that drag bar, there's no steering. It's just a go. And that's a whole different kind of thing. If it wasn't in a public area, if this was on a track where, you don't have to worry about stuff, good high walls, all that kind of stuff, like just a wheel dragger might be a hell of a fun race. Just a set of wheels and a drag bar, no steering, or maybe even on that drag bar you have a single fin, and that fin gets to control, and then you're doing a rear wheel drive. But you don't want to adjust a lot, because too much and that back end will swing out on you. But it would be fun and interesting, and probably some crazy wrecks with that kind of stuff. In that kind of a situation, I almost thought of doing it with this, but I wanted to keep the springs, is just doing a straight link here, just a straight link to push it, because it could actually go down further. I could raise it up more if I felt I needed it, but having that locked and not have any, it's really, watch, I'm gonna got to hold the front end down just to, it's pretty stiff. It's stiff enough that if it takes a big hit, it's going to give a little. But the whole idea is I just wanted a pivot point. So, am I giving away a ton of secrets? Yeah. But by the time this video comes out, this will have already been tested and everything else, and then run at the sand drags. I definitely want to get some good testing in, tune the heck out of this thing, find out where it needs to be. My first thought, and I always go with my first thoughts and then kind of backtrack to see what goes on, is to, again, just make this as stiff as possible. Not a lot of suspension. It's just a stiff thing, just boom, taken off. So that's going to be what it is. And of course, I'll be putting this video out and then talking about what I felt like I needed to change. So for right now, the links haven't come in, but I can mount my servo. So I'm going to do that, make sure that the hole I've created is big enough to put this in, and then I can mark and put my my servo in. So we'll get to that probably in the next part of this video. We might as well keep going, right? Alright, see you soon. I just want to take a second to show how modular this is. So this is the top piece. It just screws into the 2 holes in the bulkhead, and then of course I measured. So I got the bottom plate done first, had this mounted put these in based off of the battery I was using. So these are the batteries I use. So I made it fit that and gave it a little bit of space for the wiring. I don't think it will take it won't take a standard pack. But again, I'm using smaller ones because I'm drag racing. I don't need more. I don't need 5200 milliamp hours. I just need a little bit. The 120C is what I run to get more voltage out. But the Traxxas Rustler, Bandit, Stampede, all of those, they're so modular that it just leads to a modular design, right? They're easy to break down, they're easy to fix, repair, upgrade, all that kind of stuff. A million different parts out there for whatever you want to do. Or you make your own, and off of that, people design stuff, right? I don't have a 3D printer, or I'd be doing all sorts of crazy things because I have a CNC background, so that kind of stuff makes sense to me. Anyways, which is why I'm able to do this. So this is the plate. What I have to test is if the servo, because we're turning it over because we're mounting it from below, again to keep the height down to clear that bar. So now I got to see here. Okay, so this is a little bit wider than our Traxxas servo. It fits in here, but it doesn't. All I'm doing is testing, see where it's catching. Not enough there, not enough there. It's big enough in the middle. So I just need to take my file and rasp and just take a little more out of here, and I'm just fitting this. That's all I'm going to do, so that this sits where I want it, which is this way. Under here, but flat here. And then obviously, 6 screws, this plate comes off. I can get to the servo, adjust, make any changes that I need to. I don't even have to really take any of the stuff off if I don't want to. I took it off now because I know I'm going to be filing and shaping and drilling and all that stuff, and I want to do that off. Again, that's why I use the Velcro, and it is Velcro, so I'm calling it Velcro. It's the brand that I know, trust. It's easy to get. You can get it at a Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever your local hardware store is. They've got it. What I'm grabbing, just so everybody can see, is right here. Get it out of the flash. It comes in bigger rolls. You can get a big roll, I think, for somewhere around 30 or a little less. This is the cheaper part. It just comes in a big sheet. Obviously, I've cut pieces off. You can see however I did it. That's the whole thing. Cut it, put it on. I'll be cutting more of that and putting on, when I get the drag bar done, I'll be putting a piece like this down for my GNSS so I can start testing it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So anyway, that's what I did. Easy to mark stuff. I've gone, this in the same distance in from the sides, which allows me to justify where these are going to be. I mounted these first, then took this holes, which are the front holes here, put this in, screwed that in so it's down and in place, and then just went up and made the mark, and then use a square to get it across, drill those holes because I've already got the distance in. Creates a X. That's where you drill. I always make a punch and punch that hole 4 or 5 times to get it real deep. Makes it so that your drill bit stays true, so you don't end up having the bit walk on you. Just little things, especially when you're working with any sort of metal. Aluminum being really soft, it punches well, so I punch it a few times, makes a nice divot for that drill to go into. So anyways, I'm going to get filing on here to widen it to fit this, and then we'll get it mounted up and we'll show you that. Okay, so we've now got the servo in. It fits. So installing the servo, I realized that I get some, adjust my light here. You're going to get a little wobble probably, but I want to make sure I'm illuminating this correctly. So in here you're going to get these little bits here. These little bits are rubber gaskets that go into here. You're going to insert that into each one of them. It helps just kind of sit things in, right? The other way you could do this is getting a big screw that you go through, but you're going to pop all 4 of these in. This is if you're using the mounting screws that are supplied. And you take these little bell sleeves, hard to see, I know, and you're going to slide them down in like that. All 4. What this does is it gives you a surface for the screw to mount to. They are exactly the length of the little standoff. So this is good. And then you just mount your servo just like that. These sit in. It does create a kind of a shock buffer for your servo, which is always nice. It's not necessarily necessary, depending on what you're going to do. If you're bashing, stuff like that, definitely do that. It just helps. Definitely helps. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these specifically. What I'm going to try to do, because there's some space in there, is hopefully find some hardware that I have that will fit through that, that's got a nut in it, and hopefully a lock nut. That's my hope, so I can get those 4 done and mounted. So I'll get back when that's done.